That's exciting.
I'm bad a lot.
Yeah, because what else supports so much, so much.
Frank,
What we need,
one day,
I think.
one weekend in the pool, I was riding my ski jacket.
You good? Okay. We're going to call the committee meetings of the Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority to order. Before I turn it over to Glenn, who's going to run the Finance Committee meeting today, just wanted to let everybody know that the list that's on the agendas is the official list of committee members for this round. So in case you were changed from one committee to another, that was my decision. So if you want to complain about it, let me know. Congratulations, Bob.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Bob, nice. Let me see the committee. Glenn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that, would you call the roll, please?
John Hayes, Paul Anthony,
Here.
Robert Brooks,
Here.
Ricky Gower,
Here.
Kevin Lott,
Here.
Jean McNeil, here, Glenn Reedman.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
Not at this time, sir.
Seeing none, I will take a motion for approval of the meeting minutes of April 23rd, 2026. Kevin, is there a second? Mr. Brooks? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Move on to the financial statements. Todd, 10 minutes.
That's a long time for you.
Well, he gets 5 on committee, meeting day.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Important day. Come on board responsibility. Scott will be here. He's our auditor. So really, one of the important functions of the board is overseeing the financials, making sure that the financials that we present every month make sense from somebody outside that checks to make sure everything's in compliance. So, any reason you got that up there, Colin? Okay. Oops. All right, I always start off with the traffic. Traffic is always what drives the engine. So you can see our airport traffic. Airport traffic is, or should I say aircraft traffic is up slightly year over year. And actually, if you go back, it's the best probably as far as aircraft traffic that we've had on record for the first 4 months. Bus traffic, however, American Bus is the highest on record that we've had for the first 4 months. But you remember at the end of last year, United no longer is here. So that's what the drop off is on the bus traffic. And we're still maintaining our third best traffic year to date all time. Yes, I thought you want to say something. Comparing us to our peers, again, all airports here, you can see throughput was going to the checkpoint. We're up about 6 versus all airports up about 4 seats. And again, we talked about this before, seats exclude the bus, but seats are down -2 and all airports are up 3. And we did have some talk about incorporating the seats into the number. That does drive the number down year over year because you got to remember the seats went down. So if we had our seats from last year, they would go down because of the United situation. So normally bus traffic would help us, but in this particular case, because we don't have United year over year, that's would drive that number down. So it would actually make that number a little worse. Comparing us to our peers, we kind of stay in that, upper half there. Again, you can see where our peers throughput, they're barely breaking even. Again, our number is 6. And our peers, again, are breaking even on seats, and we're down about 2 on the seats. For the month of April, had a really good month, 418K on the net income. You can see what happened last year. You can see where we are as far as budgeted. So overall, a lot of this is a reflection of, you can see it on the top, net revenues, not expenses. So you can only cut expenses so much. So when revenues goes up, that's always a good thing. Year over year. And you can talk about this for year to date. So from last year, for the first 4 months of net income, we're up about 250. But if you look at 24, 20, 23, and 22, we're down about 200,000 in net income. But our operational income for the first 4 months is the best we've ever had. And the reason that number, when it gets to the net, is two things. Number one, we're not getting as much of the non-operating because we're not getting as much interest. The interest rates have come down. But the bigger piece is the infrastructure. So we talk about where does the money go when we make it, it goes back into the organization. So even though operationally we're making more money, it doesn't go back to anybody's pocket. It's got to go back to keep the engine driving. And this is, as Steve or Tom or anybody tell you, very infrastructure heavy business. So whenever we get extra money, there's always needs for new infrastructure. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So breaking down what's making up our profit numbers again, at the top of that list now, since there's no more cares, is parking, aviation services, and you can see down at the bottom, really reflecting the subsidies that we have in the airlines, mainly airfield and terminal, to keep our rates competitive. So there's some subsidies there. They're not breaking even because we have to do that to kind of keep our rates in line. And the only way you can do that is if you have other places to get revenue. Breaking down our budget variances, aviation services has had a really good first 4 months. Employee benefits, even though we're covering a lot of the hours, we don't have as many full-time as we budgeted. So that's helping us on the employee benefits. Net interest is up from the conservative numbers we had in our budget. And you can see the number I was talking about there, that depreciation number, even though it's up year over year, we're still not where we budgeted. So that's a big part of that in the timing. And then the revenue, because most of these items here, which makes me feel good, is revenue. You know, because you can only cut yourself so much. And then at some point, it
Will we be catching up on depreciation as the year goes on?
Yeah, at some point we'll catch on. And I don't know if it'll be accelerated, but at some point, a lot of it's just the timing of some of these things we put in there. And we're usually ambitious in some of the things we want to accomplish. And so we're rolling along, but sometimes things take longer than you think. All right, breaking down the pieces between personnel and non-personnel. Again, non-personnel, about 5% down versus budget, up 6% versus last year. And then on the non-personnel, slightly below budget and up about 4% versus last year, year to date. And this is kind of the number I always focus on here. We're really talking about FTEs. For people that don't speak FTEs, it is full-time equivalent. So that's pretty much 40 hours a week, whether it's 40 hours of part-time or 40 hours of full-time. That's how many hours it needs to run the engine. And you can see we budgeted 239. We're kind of neck and neck with where we were last year at this point, about 233, but still up from 2024. And this is just kind of breaking them down by departments. This is just in total employees. It really is not the FTEs, but you can see, you know, number of employees. We have these conversations all the time. You can have a zillion part-time employees, but it's really the hours that really make it up, because that's what you're trying to back into. And then breaking down this next 6 months, up some of those numbers on the interest. They're a little conservative. I know it's hard to believe, but just making some adjustments that we anticipate in September, some things there, and then pushing back some of our other adjustments there. And then see, this is one that probably changes the month the most each month, just because of the timing of these capital things, kind of what we talked about, the depreciation, grants, and infrastructure. If it's off a week, it's in the next month. It's literally the next month, but you're talking big numbers, so it does impact your cash flow. And then breaking it down, again, you can see down at the bottom there, what we had budgeted for May. I don't have the end of April here, but what we had budgeted for the end of May after reserves. Again, this is after our 180 reserves. We budgeted 126, we're at 216. A lot of that's operational, but some of that's really a reflection of the timing of some of these capital projects. And you can see we get a little closer to the number over the next 6 months, it starts to come down. And then kind of comparing us, we're still comparing it to 2024. We haven't gotten the 2025 information. Usually get that, like I said, usually around September, usually August, September. Whenever we get it, we'll update this chart. And any questions?
Any questions for
I
Todd?
actually do. Could you go back to the list of departments and, employees?
With the variance on it?
Yeah, so right there,
Okay.
is firefighters in there?
ARF up there, yeah.
So there's 3 openings, but also with police, there's 3 openings. We're not able to fill those, or what's the plan there?
Some of them is just timing, and then that could be part-time. Part-time show up on here too, so this is just total employees. It's not necessarily hours that are being covered. I mean, right now, go ahead.
No, right, but if I'm reading it, you have 3 openings for the police department.
That
Is
is,
that the way we're reading it or not?
I have to go back and look, that could be, yeah.
Those are part-time positions.
Those are part-time positions.
And they're not filled yet?
They're
Well,
not.
we just hired one yesterday, and we have another one that we've given an offer letter, so it just flexes up and down.
Okay, I mean, if there's a variance, how are we making up for that variance? Right, if we're 3 short
Well,
police.
it goes back to what I said about FTEs. If you go back and look at overtime,
Yeah,
there's a
that's
lot
how,
of overtime for these hours, so those hours go back into the folks that are here.
that's how we're making up through overtime.
Or you have part-timers, let's say we budgeted you for 20 hours, and now because there's an opening, you work 25. So you can make up those hours on part-time. It's, that's why I said when you go back to the most important number is this number.
Yeah, no, I got that.
Because again, you can have 10 part-time employees. We got a lot of them around here. Half of our employees are part-time, and they can be 10 hours. We got folks that work every other weekend. That's an employee, but it's not a lot of hours. But you can cover them you have to cover the hours, no matter what. You have to get the job done. So it's
Right,
either,
absolutely.
right. So it's either overtime, and then at some point we know overtime wears people out. You can't do it long-term. So there's always looking for folks. And then there's turnover. I mean, you have the folks in there, and then people leave, and then it's not like you snap your fingers and you got somebody to do it. So we are aware, to his point, there are some openings, particularly part-time.
And Todd, if you go back, like the maintenance always shows those 4 or 5 open
7 or
positions.
something, yeah, 9.
Yeah, those are all the seasonal grass mowers. So when we look at that in October, November, December, it's 5 or whatever that number is.
Yeah.
But we've just started hiring those guys because they'll mow grass from now until September. So that's where you see a big variance with the maintenance department, because we're always showing those open
Correct.
seasonal grass mowers.
To the police, though, the police shifts are covered,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
and you're working to fill.
Yeah, so all of our full-timers are hired. Those are just coming, ups and downs with part-timers for police.
And the challenge,
Or if there's a couple
As well as
open part-time positions, but they have a clause in their contract that says -1 to their full-time. So we're at a spot where they have their full-time and then the -1 part-time.
And again, a lot of times we put this in there, it's kind of you're chasing a number.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we want to hire folks, and then you lose some folks. So it's an ongoing balancing act. But again, we have to cover the hours. And a lot of it sometimes is overtime. And we understand that long-term, it does wear folks out, and we want to do that. And the challenge, even though we have a lot of part-time to kind of balance things out, because we are 24/7, it's hard to get part-time folks, the reliable part-time folks. It is. Yes.
That's what I was gonna ask. First of all, Paul, thanks. You read my mind and I didn't have to ask a public safety question. But I am gonna actually ask, are you having trouble getting people to apply? I know a lot of municipalities are are we having trouble getting people to apply?
For certain jobs, we do have challenges, yes.
For FOP, for public safety?
Yes, we have challenges, yes.
Okay, do we think that, it might be Steve or Tom, do we think that's a scheduling problem with how we run our schedule, or do we think it's a pay problem, or do we think it's that there just aren't enough people problem?
I think it goes back to the people problem.
I think it's a people problem too.
Last year, I think it was last year, we created the extra position, right, for captain. It was Greg, and Greg has left, I knew that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
have we filled that role yet, or are we still looking to fill that thing?
That has not been filled.
Well, yeah, so that would be an internal candidate. We've offered that.
Yeah.
And that's not been, we haven't had any internal applicants for that position.
Okay.
So so that's one of those outstanding numbers too.
Thank you.
Todd, the 2 higher numbers, 16 and 9, is that cause a problem with that a large amount of people
16 and 9.
Airline service.
Airline
Oh, airline
services,
service, okay,
airline
lost me there.
services and
I'm like-
shuttle passenger service, is that, because that seems like a higher amount of number that's empty spots.
I'll let Connie answer that question.
A lot of those positions are as we go into de-icing season. So since we're out of de-icing season, we'll look to fill most of those positions like August, September to get them ready for de-icing. And then we just did offer 4 positions yesterday for our peak season for the summer. But yeah, we flex the numbers too throughout the year based on our peak season and de-icing.
And that's part of the challenge is because our schedules they change. You go from, not too bad to, oh, it's really busy. So, part-timers, it gets to be a challenge. I mean, we got some really great part-timers. We could use some more. So we're always looking for good folks. It's just, as Tom said, it is a people problem. So if you know some folks, let us know, and then we'll talk to them. Go ahead.
Could you add a column to this slide, an explanation, a brief one? For example, airline services, variance is 16, and the reason is seasonal.
Yeah, that has a lot of seasonal positions, yes.
Could you do that?
Yeah, we can add that in, yes. Okay, yeah. And even on maintenance, some of the bigger ones are seasonal. And most of these variances are part-time. That's when you deal with the variances, most of them are. And again, you can make it up with one part-timer working more hours to make up for 2 part-timers. So it's a little misleading there, but the challenge is from a cost perspective, I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's so much more expensive for a full-timer than it is a part-time. I mean, people think it's 2. I have these conversations all the time. Hey, I can replace 2 part-timers and make up 1 full-timer. No, it's 3 20-hour folks to cover 1 part-timer because of the benefits and all the extra costs. So it's not that we don't want to do it. It's just a matter of being able to handle those costs.
I get that, but like Bob said, the firefighters and police are public safety.
No, but
I mean,
that's a small group, but that's not the folks.
Right, the maintenance guy is okay. But
Yeah, I'm talking about a lot of the other positions, so it's not,
All right.
it's not the public safety ones. So we make sure we maintain our standards, and safety is first and foremost around here. So did I answer everybody's question? I don't know if any more. Oh, yes.
What's the average hour of a part-time employee here? Around 20 hours? I mean, you just use that number.
Probably 20, but it depends. We have folks that are pushing 29. 30 is the limit where you can cut them off. So we got folks pushing it. I mean, we try not to schedule more than 28 for part-time on a regular basis. And we try to maybe do 25 so they can cover some additional shifts from time to time. But we have folks that are pushing it.
At
And
what
again,
point would you offer them full-time?
I was just thinking.
it just depends on whether we can, again, it's the cost. Again, you go back to, this is the one that I always focus on because this is really what drives the engine. A lot of these costs here are what we focus on when we deal with the airlines. Certainly we got to deal with the safety issues first. Nobody's going to argue with that. But when you're dealing with these other areas, you have to explain to them why your costs are so high. We're already subsidizing their money. In order for us to give more, they have to give us more. And they're already telling us we're giving you enough. So that's the balance. I would love to be able to say, in the perfect world, I would love for us to not have any part-time and we can hire all full-time. It would be better, but we just can't afford it. We can't. It just doesn't work out. So, hey, if you don't believe me, be on one of these calls with the airlines when they talk about our costs. And again, you can see it here, terminal airfield, we are subsidizing, and this is only through 4 months to keep our costs in line. So again, I'm not saying that, we can't add 1 or 2 here when we try to do that when it makes sense, but you can't do mass conversions from part-time to full-time. You just don't have the resources.
I get that, but I'm going back to public safety. So we're
But we're not talking about the public safety.
No, we're subsidizing Braden and Queen City,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if we didn't subsidize those, we could have full protection here at this airport facility. Based on cost.
We do have full protection, so there's a misnomer about that, I think, Paul.
Right, I think there is, and it bothers me on the variance.
Yep.
Where it's not a lack of coverage or service, it's just.
Right, not at all.
Right, but it's still it bothers me in that column that there's whatever.
And the variance, again, as I think, even Connie articulated, we have to have a number in the budget right? There's a number. So how are we budgeting? But we know throughout the year, just from history, that number is going to fluctuate all year long with seasonal peaks and other things going on. As the part-time, for some of these services dries up and it makes it more difficult for us to find personnel who are interested in part-time, it does mean that we're juggling that part-time schedule at times. And so to Todd's point, part-timer might have to pick up another shift while we're on the street hiring. We might have to ask full-timers to do a little overtime at times, but we're always covering the schedule. I mean, we can talk to the team, but there is no concern that we're not covering the schedule and providing adequate coverage. That's first and foremost.
All right.
So that's what I want to make sure we're all clear on, that
Okay.
that is not happening.
That is 100%, yes. And if you go back even further to kind of make that point, I don't know if I have it here. Here, you can see even from where we were 2024, I mean, even last year, I mean, we covered everything we needed to cover and we're going up, but we're stabilizing pretty close to that number. So we have the hours roughly that we need to cover. Some of these are just, it would be nice to have a few more. And that's kind of what we're talking about. We can get them in here, but it's finding the right person. And it's the ebbs and flows of this stuff. So I mean, to your point, I would love to come in and say, we got everybody exactly the way we have them, but it's ebbs and flows, but we always have enough coverage. But we're thinking long-term so that we don't burn folks out that are working these hours or coming up with crazy schedules for part-timers.
I have a follow-up. So if you can go back to that other chart with the variance. So when let's just stick on firefighters and police just for the question. So when you have 3 there, you kind of bounce back and forth between full-time and part-time. So those 3, say for firefighters, is that 120 hours a week that's being covered by either other part-timers or overtime? Or are those part-time?
Fire's a little different because they work a 24-hour schedule, so their weekly schedule isn't based on a 40-hour.
How do police work?
Police is a little better example.
Okay, let's use police in that example. Is that 120 hours a week, or is that part-time, or is that full-time?
You said that when you,
The police specifically is part-time employees, so we have.
They're all part-time?
Yeah, we have, and sorry, I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head. 12 or 13 full-time employees and then 6 or 8 part-time employees. So the part-timers typically work the weekend and add to shifts and holidays. So they're flexing their hours. We have police officers, we have firefighters that work 1 shift a month. And then we have other firefighters and police officers that work, the part-time employees that work multiple shifts a month. So it's balancing the -3 in the police isn't really impactful to the schedule because we're covering that with either the part-timer that's gonna work 2 or 3 open shifts or
extra overtime.
Right, but how many hours is those 3 a week?
Are these FTEs?
No, those are not
Those are-
FTEs.
those are-
Those
so
are number
they're
of
probably
employees. That's what I said, it's FTEs.
They're probably budgeted 20 hours of pay period.
Maybe.
I think a
So
notes
it's-
column
It's not a huge.
would help.
Got it.
Yeah, so, and the firefighters they're working the 96-hour schedule, so I think the part-timers for them are half that, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 24 to 36 hours of pay period for them.
Any other questions? All righty.
Thank you, Todd. I will entertain a motion from the committee members to move the financial statements to the board meeting for Tuesday. Jeannie, second by Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No one's opposed? We will go to Scott.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
It's hard to follow up on a show like that, so I'll do my best for the audit.
They may ask you the same questions.
The first answer to the question is I did not audit the FTEs or the that's for next year.
Wash your hands there.
Appreciate the conversation. It's always good to have questions coming about the operations of the organization. My goal here today is to talk more about the qualitative aspects of financial reporting. I know Todd prepares a detailed report every month on operating activities, et cetera. part of my role is to give you information about the quality of that information and whether anything is changing, whether, the reliability of that information, et cetera. So I'm going to start at a high level there. Our responsibility was to audit the calendar year 2025. And part of that includes providing opinions on the financial statements themselves, as well as compliance with federal grant standards, as well as passenger facility charge compliance. We're happy to report that we plan to issue a clean or unmodified opinion on those reports, which is as expected. And there were no items to bring to your attention that rose to a level of significant deficiency or material weakness. With that, I wanted to walk through. So then how do I scroll? Are you the one that scrolls? Okay. So basically, our opinion reflects the clean opinion. And then I'll go to the next. So as far as the balance sheet goes, I know you guys focus a lot during the year on income statement, operational results. It's always good to have a view of what your balance sheet looks like at a given date. And also comparing it to what it might look like at other airports. I know that's always valuable to understand how you compare at a high level. Overall, the organization had approximately $403 million of assets, of which a significant portion of that, about 75–80%, is capital assets, which is totally the norm for an airport, very capital intensive, infrastructure intensive. It is broken down into both restricted and unrestricted. Cash position being around 36 million of cash, which is a significant cash position for reserves compared to other organizations. And as Todd presents, it provides somewhere between 200 and 300 days of operating expenses, excluding depreciation, which is considered to be a fairly healthy cash balance reserve. So I think that's always something we focus on there. Capital assets, you've been in a modernization of infrastructure for a number of years, so a lot of bonds to focus on capital infrastructure. So capital assets typically are 75–80% of an airport's overall business. If you scroll down, you go down to the next page, please. All right, so from a liability standpoint, current liabilities are 13.7 million, and that includes both your normal AP of about 2.7 million, as well as your capital related AP and retainage of 7.2 million. Those are the primary drivers of liabilities. And then also you have the current portion of your bonds, 1.8 million. Non-current, that's where you see the direct financing notes and the bonds payable. The bonds payable in total were about 44 million, because some of it's viewed as current versus non-current. When you look at that debt ratio, it's actually fairly conservative compared to other airports as far as your debt to assets and cash to debt. So when comparing yourself to other organizations, you're kind of at a moderate level of debt relative to other peer groups. So I think that's a good place to be. And then lastly, you have some lease liabilities, and subscription liabilities are related to information technology agreements. Although we don't list the pension specifically on one line of the balance sheet, your overall pension liability, when you account for your assets and liabilities and deferred inflows, outflows, is a liability of about 260,000, which is really low compared to other airports. So that means you're well funded as far as your benefit plans for union and non-union employees overall. Most airports we see have significantly higher pension liabilities. So keeping on the forefront of funding that is important overall for the organization, and something that we always pay close attention to when we're looking at airports, as well as the bond market. Looking at pension liabilities as well is an important piece. So overall, your net position is 319 million. You'll see a majority of that is tied to your capital assets less the debt, which is 279 million. You have restricted funds, which are basically for debt service or capital, and your unrestricted net position or your retained earnings or equity in the private sector, about 35 million, which represents very closely your cash balances. So there's some balancing there that goes with that. When I'm looking at the organization, or even the bond market, one of the things that we're really focusing on is some of the ratios. And as I mentioned before, you have a very strong current ratio, which is the current asset to liability ratio, which is 3.6 versus 1, which is the standard 1x. Your debt to assets, 11%, where most airports we see are somewhere in that 30 to 50% as far as the debt leverage there. And then your cash to debt, your cash represents 82% of debt. So basically it says you can theoretically pay off a lot of your debt, which most airports out there are not in that position to have cash available. I'm not suggesting you should pay off your debt. That's a long-term financing strategy. I just want to make that clear. Right?
I like to eat.
But the ability to do that is important measurement when bondholders or investors are looking at that. Other things that the bond market is looking at is passenger growth. The growth in your cargo has become more significant, and it diversifies your revenue a little bit. It's helpful. They also look at airline concentration, federal grants, your reserve balances, and also looking at the status of your infrastructure. You guys are in a phase of modernizing your infrastructure. I know you have some projects on the horizon that you're considering, but the investors like to look at where you are in your stage of modernizing your overall structure. If we look at the income statement, $46 million in revenue. I think Todd noted on one of his slides that parking and roadways is a significant high margin revenue area. If you saw that on one of his slides, where it's the highest net income, and that is very similar to other airports as well. Operating expenses were about 51 million. Almost every airport out there has an operating loss because of depreciation, essentially. So when you back out depreciation, you're really at an operations of about plus 11 million of that operating line. So depreciation is a significant measurement of the capital you'll need over time to replenish your infrastructure over a long period of time. Non-operating includes investment income and your federal grants. That ARPA money was the remainder of the operating revenue provided by ARPA, so that will be not available going forward. And then you have your capital-related funding, which includes your PFCs, CFCs, capital-related federal grants, and as well as state grants that were provided during the year. So overall, an increase of about 9.9 million. So the balance sheet and income statement are very similar to other organizations as far as how they present. It's amazing how consistent they are across airports, regardless if you're a small hub or medium hub or large hub. If we go to cash flows, cash flow provided by operating activities was actually 10.4 million, and that's close to that 11 million number I just quoted if you took away depreciation. Non-financing, non-capital financing, 2.4 million, and the capital related, a net expenditure of 15.3, primarily driven by your capital asset spending. So overall, you did have a cash decrease of 1.1 million, and I would say primarily driven by the timing of capital asset acquisitions during the year. Overall, if you adjust out your operating loss of 5.5 million, if you scroll down, you'll see that changes in the balances created that positive, that cash flow from operating. So although you have a loss from the financial standpoint, you did have cash provided by operating activities, which is clearly expected of all airports to be able to finance your operations. All right, that covers the majority. Bonds payable, bonds at year end. I know you guys watch this closely. With maturities going from 2032 to 2048, total debt of about 43 million. Once again, ratio-wise, very moderate as far as debt leverage goes compared to your peers. And lastly, related to our federal audits, we're happy to report there were no findings of material weaknesses or significant deficiencies over your financial statement reporting nor your federal awards, which is as expected and never taken for granted. That's the way I like to think about it. Lastly, I just wanted to kind of touch on Lehigh compares to other airports, just at a high level. And there are a lot of consistencies that Lehigh has compared to other airports, such as the leverage. They all have a certain grant dependence, capital funding is critical. So watching that federal level, as well as state level capital funding is critical for all airports. I think the positive operating cash flow is significant, and they're all consistent with heavy depreciation, big depreciation funding needs going forward. Where I see Lehigh being better than the peer group is really the liquidity you have, your cash positions, the low pension, which is significant, as well as, I want to say you're moderate in your infrastructure development. I know you guys would be better at describing where you stand on your whole capital planning, because that goes out long term, but generally you've had some more near-term projects. You have some projects on the horizon that suggest that you don't have a time bomb, I guess, exploding anytime soon as far as capital infrastructure goes. So that's where I see some of the differences. I think one of the advantages that Lehigh has is your proximity, to the East Coast airports, the actual growth of Lehigh Valley itself. I mean, as the economy grows, the airport grows with it and contributes to that growth. The cargo increase and the diversification of your revenues are critical compared to others. So overall, I think Lehigh fits well within the peer group as far as the important matters that outsiders are looking at from an investor standpoint. So go ahead and stop there, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Very informative. I will entertain a motion from the members of the committee to move the 2025 financial audit report to the board for Tuesday. Paul, second by Ricky. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? No. Okay. Any new business for the committee? Seeing none, I will take a motion for adjournment. We are adjourned. Thank you. Mr. Chair, back to you.
Okay.
Executive committee.
We called the executive committee of the Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority to order. So Beth, would you call the roll, please?
Sturshik.
Here.
Frank Fasciano.
Here.
Paul Anthony.
Here.
Justin Grimshaw.
Here.
Robert Brooks.
Here.
Glenn Reedman.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We have any public comment?
Not at this time.
Okay. The meeting minutes were posted. Are there any comments, questions, corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Glenn first, Bob Brooks second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we have the approval of the Florio, Perucci, Steinhardt, Capelli, and Tipton LLC invoices. You gotta shorten that name.
You can call it Florio.
Is there a motion to approve? Justin, second. Frank? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the executive committee? No need for an executive session? Okay, hearing none, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
I've asked Frank to chair the, James isn't on.
He is on.
He is on? Okay. James, do you want to chair it from there, or do you want to have someone do it here?
Yeah, let somebody do it there. Be easy.
Okay.
Thanks.
Frank, you can take over.
All right, can we have a roll call, please?
James Irwin.
He's on.
He was just there.
Ann Baum.
Here.
Is Ann? I think Ann's on.
Ann's on there.
Yep, I'm on.
Frank Fasciano.
Here?
Justin Grimshaw. Willie McGee. He's on. Kevin Surfoss. Jonathan Strauss.
Here.
We have a quorum.
What's that?
With Jonathan.
And no public comment at this time.
Thank you. No public comment. Minutes were sent out. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last committee? Justin. And a second. Jim.
Second.
There you go. All in favor to approve the minutes?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Capital projects update. Thank you, Ryan.
All right, good morning, everybody. Run through our typical updates, a few changes kind of go through. Airfield construction status, again, now that we're in construction season, working on both ends of the runway, which we'll kind of get into here in a minute. Which we talked about before, our navigational aids and our visual aids. The PAPI system, we're actually looking to get flight checked here in the next month or so. That's really the only thing that's impacted from some work that they've had to do. As part of this package, they completed some of the Mauser work that was required earlier in the month. And then again, the flight check gets input into the FAA system in order to update the charts and then get the flight check actually scheduled. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get that scheduled and back online for the runway 6 and Package 6, which is really the Alpha 7 portion. They've been paving, again, really the shoulder work. Once they get done the one side of that connection, they'll flip to the other side, to hopefully finish by next month, that portion. Then they'll move on to the east side of the runway. Taxiway Alpha kicked up again. That area to the right at Alpha Bravo is closed 24/7 for 30 days, so they're getting in there to do that work again. And then coordinating with the tower and all the carriers in terms of getting around that area during the closure so they can still access 1331. And with the cargo and some of the larger aircraft, just making sure they can get around the different geometry around the airfield. So a lot of work in that section that's well needed, so they're moving on that. In terms of cargo, again, we've talked about before, by third quarter this year, looking to start the Taxiway Delta construction with the grants that are in place for that. Continuing conversations with FHWA, coordinating with PennDOT on the draft grant agreement, which needs to get executed by September. So we're working with PennDOT as, again, the lead agency to get that in. So continue to progress that as well. There's a parking structure, parking garage, waiting on the 100% design submittal to review those. We are planning at this point next month to have Cedric Johnson, who's come here before, kind of give more of a detailed update. We'll kind of talk through timing and really where we're going. But as of right now, again, looking further in the year to get started. We've talked about, we did get the Conservation District approval, but before we can start anything with some of the ancillary parking projects, I think we talked about that's included as part of that amendment, working with the township to get all the land development agreements signed. So working through that process now. In terms of the roadway realignment project rehabilitation, the biggest thing, starting after Memorial Day, we're going to start demolishing that old economy lot booth. So we're going to have detours around, so access to get maintained. But again, for safety, just closing off that whole area in order to demolish it. Probably should take about 3 weeks or so. Basically, all the electrical that was through there is out. All the IT infrastructure is out of there. So that was really what was needed, obviously, before we could knock it down. In terms of the Hangar 7 door project, which we've talked through, progress is going really well. They finished the first phase of concrete and door and then actually just swapped it all to the other side. So they're continuing that project, again, coordinating with the FBO and the tenants to make sure aircraft can still get in and out. But you can basically see here, if you're looking at the hangar, the east side or the right side is where they did the new rails, the concrete pour, worked on the doors on the left, and then just swapped them to the other side. So, so again, that's moving pretty well. I'll hopefully wrap that up later next month. And shifting over to Braden, again, which we've talked about with the edge lighting and the PAPI system. Actually had a final inspection with the state, which again provided the grant funding, Conservation District, Township, again, all the players. Really went well. It's really just waiting for stabilization before they can remove all the E&S controls with the compost filter socks and everything like that. A couple items that they got to look at for the PAPIs, but then again, similar to here, now that we have the info, the PAPIs are installed, we need to submit everything into the FAA's system so they can do that flight check as well. And in the system, you also put in, so all the charts are updated, so pilots know there's a PAPI system. These are all the parameters of that, as well as the runway edge lighting, which we haven't had before. It's pilot controlled, so you press the intercom frequency and the lights turn on, like most airports, smaller airports have. So working through that, and again, here's just some of the photos. The PAPIs is really that system up on the left there. Again, the ENS controls you can kind of see on the right, they're still there. But again, all the lights are up and running and functional. And again, it's just getting the final components in place with all the charts and everything. And again, as we talked about and Scott mentioned, we rely heavily on grants. You can see, again, how we track expended project costs with the grant receipts, making sure we're close in terms of what we spent. We're getting reimbursed within a month or two. So looking pretty good there. And that'll obviously continue to creep up as we start some of these other projects, release the runway kind of continuing. That's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ryan? Thank you.
Great, thank you.
We're gonna get a review of the RCP. Elizabeth, is that you?
Yes.
Thank you.
So just a quick update there that the provisionally approved RCP has been sent to FAA. Tom and I had a conversation with counsel at Kaplan and Kirsch preliminarily, and then sent to FAA what was approved here for their review and comment. So we'll get back to you as soon as we hear back from them.
So again, pending FAA approval, we're good, right? Thank you for that. Do we need an executive session? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
There you go.